What's up guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a Twitter header for Twitter. First, you want to open up Photoshop, and either you're using Photoshop or there's other programs such as Paint.net. Hit File, New, and then you want your dimensions for the Twitter header to be 1500 by 500 pixels. Now you want to figure out for your Twitter header, are you making it for a player, a creator, or an organization? For this instance, we're going to be using Yoast as the prime example as far as a Call of Duty player. Since Yoast plays for the family, I currently have the FTF logo up. I have both the color scheme for the team is black, white, and gold, or a gold-esque color. Obviously, the hex codes for white and black, it's fairly like self-explanatory, but for this instance, when you are doing anything related to an organization or maybe an individual that has branding, you want to at least open up their logo. Or for some instances, some designers, they essentially get the color of their branding and they put it in a box and they just have it kind of placed anywhere within the actual canvas itself to kind of reference the colors. But for this instance, you're going to want to use the eyedropper tool. You want to click on the color that you want to use, and when you click the color box right here, it'll show the hex code right here. Starting off, we want to make the background black. Honestly, the goal for this header is to kind of make it a darker tone to it, for instance. Now it's a matter of getting the player's headshot. In some instances, you don't necessarily need to have a player's headshot photo, depending on the game. Like Valorant's a great example for this as well. You can have basically have whatever the player uses within the game as far as like a character goes. You can either have like Breach or Omen, or for Call of Duty, what we're doing here is to replace that player portrait with could just be any regular operator photo. Now that we have Yoast's photo, right? Want to have it on the right side right here. So this is you want to have your operator photo, or not necessarily operator photo, but your player photo on the right of the header, because on Twitter typically the AVI will be on the left side of the header, kind of cropping out about give or take this much space right here. So you do want the player's photo to be in this general vicinity, but depending on let's say it's like an operator, for example, like from Valorant, or maybe it's just a COD operator, you want to have it right here and their name more or less on the right side. For this instance, we're going to have the actual player name in the middle and have the player's portrait on the right hand side. Now we're going to go ahead and take care of his name. Let's make the text white here. Now player's name is Yoast. I'll make this a little bigger. Now here comes the text portion, right? So to make the text, as far as like the desired font that you want, there's a plethora of text out there. A great example is defont.com. I'll link that in the description below. That website is perfect to find any font you want. Obviously, you can see I have a lot of fonts here, like an ungodly amount, but essentially, getting different type of text helps with different types of designs or aesthetics you're trying to go for. This can go for anything besides like social media graphics. Like go for merchandising as well. And it's good to have access to plenty of fonts to give you a broader, I'd say, give you more to work with essentially. As now we're just gonna go for the monument extended look right here. I want it centered right here. Now the biggest thing with a graphic like this is what kind of theme are you trying to go for? Are you trying to go for a very simplistic theme, a tech theme, very grungy theme, very dark theme? There's plenty of ways to go about this. I'm going to go for more, or for this instance, we're going to go for more or less of a say a very I would say simplistic, but also a little bit of a tech theme to it as well. Right. So now we're gonna go to the rectangle tool. This stroke, let's make it, give or take, make it 1 pixel big. Let's see how that looks. And it's quite small. But essentially, you want to do something like this right here. Yeah. Let's make it 4.68. Looks good. Looks good. Now, you're going to want right here. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky. So, when it comes to this, is really a matter of what is there to do now? Because the biggest issues that a lot of people face when designing is they have a creative block, right? So in this instance, so Photoshop's a great example of you have all the tools in your hands. It's a matter of you utilizing tools and knowing what you want to make. I know having creative block is definitely a struggle for a lot of designers, especially for ones that are say starting out, because they don't have their own style necessarily. I know for bigger designers, I mean, a good example is like CISO. He's currently designing for 100 Thieves. He has done this for such a long time to where, yes, he can have a creative block, but he has his portfolio so big to where he can just refer back to what he's made in the past and what he can refine, because there's no shame in looking in your past work and seeing what you previously made and just changing it up, because that is something that, if you've stumbled upon a creative block, you're going to have to refer back to a lot of your work. For this instance, we're going to want Yoast to move in here. Now, let's go ahead and fix this photo up a bit. A little bit left from the green screen right here. We're going to want his head above the lines right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the layer. And we're going to have that right there. So now he is above the line, but the layer above the line, we're going to erase the bottom portion right here. Now it is currently together. So we're going to put this in a bit of a group to keep track of everything right here. So essentially this top layer is going to be above the line, but since we erased the bottom tool and it's duplicated exactly where it was from the original photo, the line's going to actually be above the portrait as well. Do that. We're going to hide that as well. So now here comes the tricky portion. So how do you want to fill your background? All right, that's something that you want to fill the design. You want something within that design. So I just placed a topography image right here. If you guys don't know what a topography is, or contour lines, essentially they are the lines that they use for maps to show geographical height differences within a region. But now we're going to grab the code for this, the hex code for that. Go to the color overlay. But when you do, so in order to get to the color, to actually get to the color overlay or any of those features, you want to hit the blending, right click, hit blending options, hit color overlay. And now since I've copied and pasted the text code, or the hex code right there, that will at least give some substance to the background, so it's a lot less boring looking. Now you can see at least the background is, there's something going on in the background. But the thing is, we want to add a little more to that. So now, here's what we're going to want to do. Since it's Call of Duty, we want to grab a Call of Duty operator for this, right? Now we have an image of Captain Price, right? Iconic Call of Duty character. What we want to do is shrink him a little bit. And then right here, I believe it is an edit, yes. Go to transform. Then you want to flip it horizontally. Now we're going to have Captain Price. We're going to have him slightly out of the frame, since our main focus is going to be Yos. A little bigger. Now, another thing we can do with this, right? Hide this and this. What we can do is duplicate the original layer that we have, put it above, and make the opacity a little lower. And then what we're going to want to do is create a clipping mask. Make Captain Price a little bit darker. We can actually bring him out of the frame just a little bit more as well. Bring him right over here. Now what we can do is make the background not as plain. Obviously we have the lines in the background, but one thing we're really going to want to do is make the background, give it a little bit of color per se. So what you want to do is hit click filter, go to noise, and add noise. As you can see, it adds some color to the background, for instance, you see here. So the higher you go, the more grain there is. I want to give it a moderate amount of grain right here. Now, there is a little bit more to the background, but we're going to want to look for a grunge background. So giving it a bit of a grunge effect gives it a bit of very dirty effect as well. Now that we have our grunge background, we want to be able to place it within this region right here. A little smaller. Now we're going to want the opacity for it to be fairly low. There's different ways you can do it right here. For instance, choose how you want it to kind of blend in. See, let's get a higher opacity. Oh, we'll go for a hard light look because that actually looks pretty good. It makes it a little dirty back there. Bring the opacity up. Now, so let's look at what we have so far. So for this instance, we can honestly do without Captain Price. Price, we love you, but you need to get out of here. All right, Mr. Price right there. Now, currently with what we have, I mean, what we have is pretty good, but we can always make it better, right? So for some instances, in this case, actually, what you want is, since Yoast does play for For the Family, we're going to want to add some For the Family flair to it, okay? And this works with any organization as well. You want to make sure you have the team logo within there, and maybe some shots of the player from LAN. Obviously, we already do have Yoast's actual portrait photo, but we're also going to want to add his LAN photo as well, him actually playing, to give I'd say the graphic a little more sauce to it. Now we have the FTF logo here, right? Let's add it, give or take, right here. We're going to want to move it down. Actually, no, it's perfect where it's at, actually. Now we have a photo of him playing on LAN, okay? For this instance, we're going to want to hit edit, transform, flip horizontally. Now I want to make it a clipping mask, okay? Image a bit bigger. Obviously with some logos it is a bit awkward, you know, considering how it can cut off parts of the photo. But I believe we can enlarge it like this. Yeah, that doesn't look right. What we actually have is the FTF logo. Right over here. And for this instance, actually, what we can do is we make the text white. And I know we can make it a bit little techie over here. Do this. That, make some arrows. Put his name right here. Now for this instance right here, we can make this quite a bit smaller so it doesn't take up too much space. So you do not want it to be touching the borders here. There we go. Now we can add one more thing to this, all right? Can do. Now we gotta add his actual role within the team. Call of Duty player. Now we're going to want to make it a little smaller. Make it out a little more. No, we can actually do without the Call of Duty player portion. So right here is the finished product. Obviously, it can be a lot better, but within the short time frame, we have a Twitter header that's actually usable. You know, for a finalized Twitter header you want for a player or a player part of our organization, or maybe the organization itself, you do want sponsors. In this instance, there is no sponsors for this particular team quite yet. But other than that, we have a finalized header right here. Let me know if you guys want to see anything else, perhaps maybe even some merch designs too, and perhaps maybe even some photography to show you guys what it's like to do esports photography as well. But catch you guys later. Peace.